Hello, and welcome back. In today's video, we will see how easy it is to install the PasswordLab server from the Vultr marketplace with the Vultr-managed database. Before we start the installation, we need a Vultr account, a valid PasswordLab license, and SMTP login details for the emails. After logging into the Vultr, we will land on the Cloud Compute page. First, we will create a managed database to hold all our data. To do that, click Databases from the menu panel, and then click the Add Managed Database button. We will land on the Add Managed Database page. On this page, we have different types of database options. I am selecting MySQL as our primary database. After that, we need to choose the server type and replica nodes. I am selecting Cloud Compute, but you can choose any server type that fits your needs. I am going ahead with one replica node, but you can pick more replica nodes. Later, we need to choose the location. The best idea is to choose a location near your users. So I am going ahead with London as my server location. Then, we move to the VPC network. Click on the Create New VPC checkbox. This will create a virtual private network for our database, so that all the communication between software and database happens inside the private network. The last option is to add some labels to your database. I am typing PasswordLab, but you can name it anything. Finally, we will click the Deploy Now button to start the database server setup per our chosen configuration. This step takes some time, hence, please wait until the database server is fully deployed. Now that my database server is fully deployed and ready, let's go inside by clicking on the database cluster name. From here, click on the Users and Databases tab, and then click on the Add New User button. On the pop-up window, I will type the database username of my choice and leave the password blank so that Vultr can create a strong random password for me. After that, I will click on the Add New Database button and type the database name in the pop-up window. You are free to name anything. Next, we will go to the Settings tab and then the MySQL configuration option. On this screen, we need to switch off the Require Primary Key option. That completes our Managed Database part. Let's move to the Compute part. Navigate to the Compute page by clicking on the Compute from the menu panel. From here, I can click on the Deploy Server button in the center of the page or the blue Deploy button at the top right corner. We now have multiple compute types. You can choose any of them, but I use the shared CPU option. Next is the location. Select the same location you chose while creating the managed database. In the Choose Image section, I will click on the Marketplace Apps tab and search for PasswordLab. Here it is. Let's click on the PasswordLab. Next, we have the compute server size. You can choose any one, but I am going ahead with the smallest one to show that our software works extremely well even in the smallest compute size. Next is the Additional Features section. Here, let's click on the Virtual Private Cloud 2.0 feature. This will allow us to pick the VPC we have created for the managed database and enable private networking between them. Next, we need to type the database name and username. Type the same database name and username you used when creating the managed database. Then, in the VPC 2.0 section, select the same VPC in which the managed database is created. If your account has multiple VPCs, choose the one with the recently created managed database. Next is the SSH public key. I want my server to have a passwordless SSH login, so I choose my preferred public key. However, you can ignore this step as it is optional. The last one on the list is the hostname. I am writing PasswordLab, but you are free to write anything. It's time to deploy the server by clicking the Deploy Now button. Vultr is now doing the installation for us. Let's wait for 5 minutes. Great, the installation is completed. Let's click on the compute name and go inside. Over here, if you see the warning message after waiting for 5 minutes, then no worries. Go down the page and open the URL in a new tab. If we see the installation page from PasswordLab, That means the installation is completed, and we can ignore the warning. Otherwise, we highly recommend waiting 5 more minutes. In my case, I can see the installation page. Hence, I am going ahead with the final installation. First, let's agree to the terms and conditions. Next is the place where I am going to enter my valid PasswordLab license details. Now it's time to enter the database details. I will use the database login details from the Vultr-managed database page. Let's go inside our Manage Database page to find the correct database connection details. Once we find the correct database details, we can copy them to our installation page and click the Next button. Next, we will enter the SMBP login details. Our software will use this email account to send users 2 FA codes and notifications. Here, we will create an administrator account. This account will manage the entire software and its users. Later, we will use this account to onboard our team members. Here, I will enter the OTP I received on the admin email address I provided in the previous step. This is the crucial step. At this step, the software creates the master vault protected by the master key. The master key is mathematically divided into 5 pieces, and we need at least 3 key pieces to unlock the master vault. To receive the 5 key pieces, enter the email addresses of the 5 trusted individuals. I am entering the same email address for all 5 key piece holders. Still, we highly advise you to provide 5 different email addresses. Now, let's sit back and let the software do its magic. The software is now creating a database, vault, administrator account, and other essential stuff for us. Excellent. The installation is completed. We need to restart the PasswordLab service so that the configuration takes effect. Let's quickly log in to the server via SSH with the root user to restart the PasswordLab service. Here, the service is restarted and the status is active, which means everything is good. We can also go to the browser to see the PasswordLab software. We also need to stop the database server created inside our compute server. Because we are using a Vultr-managed database, the database server installed during our software installation inside our compute is no longer required. Hence, we can stop that database service. The last step of our journey is to secure our managed database. To do that, we need to copy our compute server's IP address and go inside the managed database. Then, we need to go to the bottom of the page where it says Trusted Sources. The message says our database cluster is open to all incoming connections. This is not good, and we need to limit the incoming connection only to our compute server. Hence, we have copied our compute server's IP address. Let's click on the Edit button, paste the IP address here, and then click on the Save button. This will stop all the incoming connections to our database cluster and only allow connections from our compute server. Finally, our software is ready to use. I hope you enjoyed our installation walkthrough. You can also check our docs for a more detailed explanation. We highly recommend watching our Unlocking the Master Vault and related videos, which will help you quickly get started with PasswordLab software. See you in the next video.